Okay, great. Thank you for coming to 1 Million Cups Missoula. I'm really glad you've taken time to be here. Since there are only 20 of us here right now, it means you're going to have to drink a lot of coffee because we got to hit that 1 million cups goal. Not today, but we've got a month. How many of us, the first time you've been to 1 million cups? Great. Rashida, I know we haven't met. Great. Thank you for coming. 1 million cups is really, it was started by the Kauffman Foundation, the entrepreneurial foundation in Kansas City. And the purpose of it is to have a platform and help educate entrepreneurs and business owners on how to present their business well for whatever purpose, whether they're looking for funding or for other things, partners, but to be able to present well. That's the primary educational purpose. The other purpose is to generate or create a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem, I can't even say that word, in our community. So how many of you heard the phrase, a rising tide raises all ships? That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing for entrepreneurs and for business owners in Missoula and the surrounding area. Because the concept, I believe, started with somebody was talking about, if a couple of entrepreneurs got together and sat down over a cup of coffee and shared resources and helped each other, they would both be better for it. What if we did that 1 million times? 1 million cups of coffee with 1 million entrepreneurs, and let's make everybody better. So we're doing our part by being here this morning. We've got 2 presenters this morning, and the format is our business an entrepreneur will present for 6 minutes, and then we go into the lightning Q&A. And I have to encourage you, when you ask as many questions as you come up with. It helps the group, it helps our business owner, but try to avoid throwing out the softball questions like, where'd you get your shoes? That's not a business question. Or why'd you pick green for your logo? But ask things that are a little more deeper that help our presenter to think on their feet and to give good feedback. Another question I have before we introduce our first speaker is how many of you are Twitterers? Did I say that? Is that
Tweeters?
Tweeters. See? Clearly.
Those are both wrong.
I know.
How many of you are on Twitter?
How many of you are on Twitter? Yeah. How many of you are on Twitter? Make sure and tweet out what you're doing today. And what's our hashtag?
1MCMSO.
1MCMSO. 1MCMSO. Yeah, great idea. Thank you.
What's yours, Michael?
Submittable.
I figured I just wanted to.
With that, I would like to introduce our first presenter and have him come up here, and we will start the show. So I would like you to meet Michael FitzGerald from Submittable. And I'm not going to describe what you do. That's what you get to do.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Hey. Thanks, everybody. So Submittable is a cloud-based curation platform. That means it allows any organization to accept any type of file or any data set.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
And review, or what we call curate it. Use cases would be publishers accepting manuscripts, blogs accepting articles, producers accepting casting calls. It works with large film files, so up to, it'll take a 4 gigabyte film file, video file, transcode it into HTML, make it presentable on the web. So we started in 2010. Our first year we made $431. This year we're gonna be very close to 2 million. So, and we're doing this exclusively in Missoula, Montana. So I was going to just talk about how we do marketing. So content marketing is kind of a new buzzword, and we found very early on that cold calls, while are awesome and they're essential too, they don't really scale very well. And we have a product that our pricing doesn't work with enterprise sales because it's $29 to $200 a month per client. So we had to figure out how to get tons of people to hear about us and know about us without a huge marketing budget. And so without really knowing what we were doing, we just we started doing content marketing before we understood what it was. And so what we do is we have a blog, we have social, we have inbound, and we have a newsletter. So there's other things. And we have 3 main goals with any piece of content that we create. We use it, number 1, to promote clients. So anybody who's a customer, they also get our tool and they get our service, but they also are promoted. We promote them on social networks. We promote them on our blog, so we'll do interviews with a lot of our magazines. We'll interview the editor. And those people then go and promote us because they're like, look, here's an interview with me on Submittable. And second, we use it to demonstrate industry knowledge and passion. So I wouldn't start a company unless you are actually passionate about the industry that you're in or that your service is in. And third, features, so informational, purely just to tell people what they can do with our product. An example would be, so does anyone know who Josiah Wedgwood is? Anybody? So he invented jasper, which is a ceramic that any plate you have in the fact that you have plates in your house prior to 1769, the only people who could actually like afford plates and ceramics were nobility and the one percenters. He essentially democratized the ability to build ceramics, and he did it by, this is part of the Industrial Revolution. He did it by breaking down each step of the process and having 12 people make a plate instead of one potter, right? So he made it very, he made it available to the masses. So he did some other stuff actually too. So Josiah Wedgwood is credited with inventing direct mail, money-back guarantees, the traveling salesman, self-service, free delivery, buy one, get one free, illustrated catalogs, and the ceramic known as jasper. As if to taunt us, he did most of this with after his right leg had been amputated. So we wrote a blog post about Josiah Wedgwood, basically demonstrating like he's an amazing person. But what we were using this as an antidote to was self-publishing, which self-publishing there's a bunch of problems with it. The author has to create the object, or create the manuscript, promote the manuscript, design the manuscript, do all that stuff, and then go sell the manuscript. And it doesn't really scale. So we wanted to demonstrate that Josiah, why people should go with regular publishers, which in our mind are very valuable. Social, if you go to follow us on Twitter, we have over 12,000 Twitter followers, and all we do is promote calls that our publishers or our clients have. So it's exclusively, the people who follow us aren't our clients, but our publishers get a lot of value out of being our clients because we go and promote whenever they have an open call. Inbound marketing, does everyone know what inbound marketing is? Okay, so we're breaking into other verticals, and inbound marketing is the ability to get people to come and register, or potential clients to come and give you their information, sign up. And so what we did was we created Fail Better. So we're trying to break into theaters, and we have a couple theaters, but we haven't really found a way to speak to all of them at once other than going to a conference, which can cost $10,000. So we created a video contest where actors and performances can send a 1 to 2 minute video of their biggest fail. Fail Better is a quote from Samuel Beckett. But and it's sort of a fun thing. It's engaging. Every actor has had one or two horrible tryouts. And so what we're doing is we give the actor or the performer $1,000, and we give the theater of their choice $1,000. In their application, they have to include the name, the contact information, and the phone number of the theater. So while they're doing that, the theater is hearing about us. So we have these actors going out, talking directly to theaters, saying, "Hey, I need your contact information because I'm entering this contest from this amazing thing called Submittable." So it's $2,000, and we're basically getting directly in front of every small theater in the country. Newsletters, we use that just to talk about our newest and greatest features. That's it. Everything's got to be informational or incredibly engaging. Thanks. Any questions?
That's excellent. It's time for Q&A, but is Amanda still in here? Mm-hmm. You're Amanda. Of course you are. You sent her a question. Will you please ask our first question? The question. We're going to start with that.
Right. So we always start with the question of, what can 1 million cups do for you?
I don't know. I guess you could use us. Could you guys have an application process? You should.
1 million cups, Kansas City.
No, I think they should use our product.
Okay, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. What is another thing that we could help with? So outside of like a promotional or use of your product.
Like, what can us in this room do for you?
You can all use our product. I mean, you all have businesses and you all have blogs, and you should accept user-generated content. And Submittable makes that incredibly easy, and will promote your calls.
Do you feel like there's certain target industries in which you're working with? Do you feel like there's certain target industries in which you're working with more than others, or is it across the board?
Yeah, so we started in a very, very small niche, essentially independent publishers, like literary publishers, the universities, Cut Bank, and so that was incredibly valuable. And anybody starting a business, I would not worry about scaling in the beginning. I would focus on a small enough niche that you can actually communicate directly with them. If you try to talk to everybody, your message gets diluted. And so we started with a very small niche, and then as I was jogging over here, I was communicating with, I can't even say their name, but it's a 50,000 person company, and it essentially is used by everybody in the military service. So that's not a literary journal. So you kind of just start jumping the fence, but you got to start with an addressable market, as small as possible.
Michael, who was that market, your first one?
It was literary publishers. So we knew my partner, one's a filmmaker, one's a musician, and I'm an author, and we came up with the idea because as an author, I had difficulty sending manuscripts to publishers. So we made it very easy for them to accept manuscripts.
Can you talk a little bit about the other products that you offer? Because I feel like you know, one's done really well for publishers and one's done really well for like resume submission, for instance. And can you just talk a little bit about now the different products that you guys have?
Yeah, so we have 3 products. I wouldn't recommend that. Early on, we started seeing people use our original product for accepting resumes, and it was a couple of restaurants in New York, and we had never marketed to them. We had no idea why they were doing it, and but over 1 million authors have used our product. So in the little world of literary fiction or literary arts, pretty much everybody knows what we are. And so I called these people and like, what are you doing? We weren't an HR product. But 2 waiters who were also writers. Their boss was like, we're hiring a dishwasher, and I'm getting like all these things in email, and they're like, you should use this thing called Submittable. And so we called them, and they were, they just signed up and were using it. So we decided to create an HR product for small to medium-sized businesses. It's widely used as well. I mean, we probably have 1,000 customers using it, and it's a great product. And price-wise, there's nothing. It's $29 to $200 a month. Taleo and our competition are hundreds of thousands of dollars. And but the problem is we dilute our marketing when we don't spend a lot of time marketing. We get a lot of organic growth through it, but it's very hard to market to 2 totally different markets. So even though the product works for these, it's so much energy to our blog can't both talk about publishing and how you hire a dishwasher in New York. But we also, our 3rd product is called Submishmash, and this is the most amazing thing. So Submishmash is a API into every creative opportunity on Earth. And so we originally started as a platform. I wanted as a writer to write my manuscript, go to a place, upload it, and it immediately figure out who the publishers were that I should be sending this to, right? But that's a marketplace, so I needed both the publishers and I needed both the writers to be at the same place. And if anyone's trying to create a marketplace, you have the chicken and the egg problem. How do you get the publishers if the writers aren't there, and how do you get the writers if the publishers aren't there? So we ran into this not immediately. We wrote code for almost a year before we realized that. But we learned the hard way that was very difficult. And then, so then we tore out. We built that product. We built this centralized marketplace. But then we couldn't get anybody to join. So, but while I was demonstrating it to publishers, they're like, "Yeah, don't put my name on there. I'm not going to join this thing built by 3 guys in Montana." But but they liked this small little widget that let them accept a manuscript, and then annotate it, vote on it, talk about it, review it, and that happens in the platform. So we cut out 90% of the code, and we just sold that little piece. The very first version of our product was any company could accept one file, and it would pull them into kind of a centralized inbox where multiple people could log in and vote and talk about this thing. And that was the first version, I mean, that product was around for about a year. We've since dramatically expanded it in terms of features. But anyway, so we went and sold just that, the ability to accept content. And that's what Submittable is. And we have over 8,000 customers. And they're all over the map. We have kids, 2 kids in Baltimore creating a zine in their basement, to all major 6 publishers, Harlequin, Random House, have all used it at different times. Harlequin exclusively uses us for any book you see coming through Harlequin in this year will have gone through Submittable. So, so we have all these publishers. Now we have the chicken, right? So the eggs can show up now. So now we're releasing this thing called Submishmash. We have every creative opportunity, all of our customers, and we're going to allow them opt-in to promote them on this public site. As an author, I can now go do that thing that I wanted to do 6 years ago. I will upload a file. If I give it permissions, it'll figure out who I am. It'll look at my social network footprint, figure out what I like, what kind of person I'm. It can examine the document on a sentence level, figure out what you're writing about, what kind of content this is, and then immediately recommend a publisher from from the publishers that we have that are looking for content. And we know what they're looking for because they've created that call in our system.
Does it recommend it to you, or does it automatically submit to this publisher?
It can do both. But our customers, our clients are the publishers, and they have to agree to accept that stuff before. So there's a lot of nuanced components to this, but technically we're there, which in my mind is really thrilling because that's what I wanted 7 years ago.
You talked a little bit about the
video.
sorry. Oh, I didn't even see you.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Let's go back to the 3 guys in Montana. What was the unforeseen challenges that came up, and where are you at with those today, and how is that continuing?
So everything's a challenge. I mean, we luckily didn't know what we were doing, so we didn't understand that it was going to be so difficult. I think I look back on it, and I think that was I don't know if I would have done it if I knew it was going to be so hard. And it's not a great way to make money. I mean, you're failing every single day. I mean, I'm failing right now until you're not. And then you get to a plateau, you think, oh, as soon as I get to X, it's going to be different. And you just have a whole new set of problems. So in the beginning, it's just you and your friends. And my partner's a musician, and early on, we were failing constantly. We were running out of money. We didn't have any customers. The customers we did have weren't great customers. They were broke. It was basically poets. The challenges then were like, how do we? I think Brigitte was talking when we met 5 years ago. She was kind of like, what can we do for you? What do we need? And I was like, I just need my family to have pizza tonight. So in the beginning, the challenges are, how do you eat? How do you pay rent? While, no one asked you to start the company. No one cares that you did. No one's paying you in the beginning. If you fail, there's no unemployment because you're not actually employed, right? So, and then later, challenges now, so we have 15 employees. So I'm constantly, and we're pretty much growing 1 per month. We're just sort of following revenue up, and we're trying to get to, our goal is to have 500 employees in Missoula, Montana. And so, 15, we're pretty far away. But if we just do 1 a month, and if our revenue expands, next year we'll do 2 a month. But so right now I interview constantly. I interview probably 5 people a week. And one of the things I didn't realize about one of the challenges of growing a company in a small town is we all know each other, everyone's going to see each other. So I'm gonna interview 5 people this week. I'm not going to hire them, right? Maybe I'll hire 1, or mostly I'm just trying to figure out, will they be, can I hire them in a month? Most of our hires aren't immediate. It does take 3 or 4 months for us to figure out who's going to be a perfect fit. But I have to interview all these people. I have to have the pipeline full. So I've got 5 people this week who aren't getting a job who came in for an interview, and I'm going to run into them every single day for the rest of my life in the grocery store, right? I mean, you know, like, I know everyone's grown up and it's cool, but like, I was just at the playground, and these are awesome people. These aren't people who didn't get hired for any other reason except that we're a startup and we're just in a weird place right now. So that's a challenge right now that I don't love, but I mean.
So I don't even believe that this is on.
It just gives you power.
Gotcha. Okay. You talked a little bit at the beginning about the video content and competitions that you're hosting, and also about the fact that this is a small town, and, you know, everyone knows everyone. So I was just wondering, can you talk a little bit about the synergy or the competition that might exist between what you're doing, and the Audience Awards? Are you working with them?
Yeah, they actually used Submittable in the beginning. They, you know, like, we definitely are in the sort of same area. They're much more of a destination, and, you know, you would go to Audience Awards. We are straight up a SaaS platform where organizations can do, you know, use Submittable for exactly what Audience Awards does, except we don't right now have the public voting. We build that custom for large customers, but we don't right off the shelf like what they do. But yeah, there's definitely competition. I mean, I think it's great. I have no, you know, Paige is awesome, whatever. They're not my biggest concern in terms of competition at this point, but I'm much more nervous about, you know, SurveyMonkey just built a competing product, $2 billion company. Although Dave, do you guys know Dave Goldberg? He's the CEO. Yeah, it's horrible. He was an incredibly awesome person. When we went to the blogger, at some point, I don't know if you remember, I checked out, but I had emailed every CEO and every VC and tried to like get in front of all these people in Silicon Valley when we first started in 2011. And Dave Goldberg's the only one who returned my call, and he gave me an hour. And at that time, he's the CEO of a $1 billion company, and we're 2-3 guys in a garage in Montana. Anyway, awesome.
So I just have a follow-up question, since you mentioned they built a competing product. What's the end game for you, Michael? Do you want to be acquired by a company like that? Do you want to continue doing business here in Missoula on your own? What do you think?
We want to have 500 employees in Missoula, Montana.
Yes.
And
then be acquired?
No, I mean, people can acquire us. I want to be a massive privately held company, potentially go public, but I really don't care. All I want to do is just keep growing. I don't think about it. I used to think about it constantly, and when you accept investment, you know, you have to think about it. But I feel we're at a place where, you know, we do entertain, you know, people are asking us to invest now that we're profitable, which is when you know, as soon as you don't need it, there's money everywhere. But there's a lot of challenges to one, selling a company in Missoula, Montana. There isn't a massive market for, I mean, you know, it'd be difficult. Like, I know Oracle owns right now, but there's a lot of challenges for somebody buying a company in Missoula, Montana. So I don't think of that as an end game. I think about how do we make an amazing, lasting, awesome, big business.
That's great. Michael, we have time for one more question before we cut you loose. Thank you. Who wants the mic of power? All right.
Michael, you guys are always improving your product, and it's obviously a very iterative process for you guys. Can you talk about a little bit about how you guys take feedback from your customers and apply that to the platform and improve it?
Yeah. So social networks, so on Twitter, we're constantly, you know, we've used Twitter as essentially a help desk. You know, anybody who has any problems, we're right on it. We use user voice. There's tons of products out there. We love user voice, mostly because when it came out, I mean, when we first signed up, it integrated with our authentication so that our users, like there's Zendesk at the time, when you were submitting a help ticket, our users had to create a Zendesk account, and we wanted people who are already signed into Submittable to just submit their complaint or whatever directly to. Does everyone know what Zendesk and user voice are? These are these help forums that you can plug. You know, if you go to Submittable and you click on help, you're on a SaaS platform that lets you look at our knowledge base. So if they're trying to figure out how to do something. 2, submit a problem or a complaint or a bug. And it goes into, you know, we have 4 customer support people We are a technology company, but we believe customer support is 50% of the product. Customer support's an awesome opportunity to upsell the product, but also demonstrate that there's human beings back there. I feel as soon as they realize there's actually people, they have an easier time paying for it. So we use user voice. It goes to live people. We have customer support on the weekends. If you call us on 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, you'll get a person. It's an incredibly powerful thing when a customer does that. So so all this stuff comes in. We do a weekly sprint. We work on Agile. Does everyone know what Agile is? It's sort of iterative development. Almost from day one, the majority of our features were our users telling us what to do. So that's the amazing thing about, if you can just get like the minimal viable product, get one person using it. Don't worry about scaling. Don't worry about like how customer acquisition costs. Just worry about one person, one stranger using your software and ideally paying you, and they will tell you how to make it better. And then get 10, and then get 100, and then go and figure out this stuff and market to 1,000 people. But in the beginning, your first customer is a totally different process than your next 10, and then your next 100 is a totally different process. But they will tell you how to make your product. You don't even have to do anything. You just get out of their way. Sorry.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's your one of 1 million cups.
Awesome. Thank you.
Your cup swag. Thank you very much for presenting and answering the questions. And this is a fascinating business.